Welcome to the Heavy Debriefings podcast.
We are Josh Runquist and the Metal Faerie,
A fun-loving metal couple that brings you the best in new music.
What did you just make me listen to? As well as movies.
3 hours later, nothing of value was added. TV.
It's going good, so why not cancel it? Video games.
Here's an idea. Remake the game, but make it worse. Wrestling.
Why are we still watching this week after week? And all things entertainment.
I knew it. I knew she was behind Black Guy Gates. And a little insight into our personal lives. You don't mind that I trauma dump on you, do you?
Emotional support girlfriend, party one. He's a handsome fella.
I know, you keep telling me. We're made for each other, because no one else would have us. Enjoy the show. Alright everybody, rock-a-doodle-doo. You are here with two Hot Toddys here with the Flea and the Shmoo here on the Heavy Debriefings podcast. Episode 69.
Giggity.
So sexy.
Would you feel sexy after this week?
I couldn't feel sexier.
Figured as much.
I, of course, am Josh Runquist, along with...
The Metal Faerie.
How are you doing? And truly, tell me, how are you doing?
I'm here. I mean, that's about as good as I can exasperate myself right now. That's probably not the right word. I'm just trying to find the right word, and that's where my mind is at right now.
Right on. Well,
how are you?
Well, I almost died on Sunday.
Did you now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I almost died over the weekend, and then I was in the hospital for 4 days.
Yes.
And just got back last night.
Yep, and now America's dying as well.
Yeah. All on your birthday, too.
Happy birthday. I have decided, and I told you this before, but 43, I've decided this is the year...
Whoa, you're actually giving your age?
I don't care. Yeah, I'm 43, and this is the year where I do not give an F. I've reached that level where I will say whatever I want, and I don't care anymore.
Well, you did censor yourself just now. You said F instead of...
Yes. I did censor myself for the...
I mean, we could go uncensored if you want to start doing that from now on.
No, because my mommy might listen. Who knows?
See, you still have some left. You have some standards.
Well, that is true, yes. For people I care about, yes.
That is not the only reason we censor ourselves. It mainly has to do with YouTube, and as soon as you start swearing, they will limit your reach.
Exactly.
If we were just on Spotify or something, I'd be saying the C word over and over and over again, because this is just the kind of week that really calls for the C word over and over and over again.
Amongst other words.
But yes, how do you do, podcast listeners? Let's just get right into it.
Sure.
You went on your bi-weekly excursion, or bi-monthly excursion.
Yep,
either way you want to look at it. I think both are technically kind of accurate.
Well, no, bi-weekly, because bi-monthly would only be once every other month.
Oh, okay. Well, you also gotta understand, I'm full of drugs right now, so...
Not the good kind, though.
Yeah, not the bad kind that make you feel good.
Not the fun ones.
Not the fun ones. Although I did get one of those at one point, but we'll get into that. But you left on your bi-weekly excursion.
I did.
And I started falling apart.
Yeah. Like by the night that I got there, you were already feeling pretty crummy.
Yeah. It started with a lot of back pain, and it started going towards the kidneys, and I started throwing up constantly.
Yeah.
I have a sick bucket that I've had since 2013 that we've been cleaning out. It was from the hospital stay that I had during the 9 months that I was constantly in and out of hospitals.
Yeah, it's just one of those kind of like generic hospital buckets they give you sometimes.
Yeah, one of those little utility buckets where you put like bandages and stuff like that in there. And been using that as a sick bucket and cleaning that out as soon as it needs to be cleaned out whenever possible. Yeah. So it's not just full of gross stuff. We do wash it out, so don't think otherwise. But I think
we are gross, though.
We are gross, but that's besides the point.
Yes.
I probably filled that thing up.
Yeah.
Between all weekend. Especially on Friday nights, I puked so much I actually passed out.
Yeah, and we should preface this, if you didn't listen to the previous episode, you had been feeling off for a couple weeks when we thought it was the flu.
Yeah, I thought I was still dealing with all the problems with the flu, and there's nothing saying I didn't have the flu.
Yep.
Because I had all these chills and other stuff that was going on through me the entire time.
Yeah.
But after that, I fell asleep and I felt a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday, I decided, hey, why don't I get all the writings done for Out Today and What I Missed, which I did do.
Yes.
We are at 530 albums. If I missed out on an album, sucks to be you.
Basically.
Yeah. Basically, the only exception that might happen is Opeth.
Yeah.
Being such a diehard Opeth fan, I need to hear what that sounds like. And if it makes the top 100, great. If it doesn't, well, from what I've heard so far, it probably won't, but we'll see what happens. But Saturday, I was feeling pretty good. I got all my stuff done, and then I started feeling pretty crappy again.
Yeah.
Then I went to bed early. And then around daylight savings time, I think it was the second time that we hit 2 a.m., I started throwing up again.
Yeah.
And I did not stop for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I called you very early in the morning,
Yeah.
begging you to come home.
Yes.
Where you did come home, like within an hour, I think it was.
Yeah, I was in bed, so I had to get up and get my stuff together, but...
But you did race home,
Yes.
which I appreciated. I puked more, I passed out more right next to you, and just kept repeating the cycle. And then you finally talked me into going to the hospital.
Yeah, because I mean, at first, like, I knew you weren't feeling well, but I hadn't been here, like, witnessing everything, so I'm like, well, how are you feeling? Do you think this is needing to go to the hospital, or, like, urgent care, something like that?
And I was heavily considering it on Friday,
Yeah.
but I didn't want you to have to come home.
Right, and we didn't know, like, where you were, like, if it was flu stuff still, or kind of what was going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I saw you, like, continuously throwing up and passing out, and I'm like, no, like, you need to go in, because this is dangerous now.
Yeah, and we were trying to decide if I could even walk to the car.
Yes.
Which I could not.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you
we...
were, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Like, I mean, in addition to not feeling well, like, you've been a little off balance with your back issues and stuff as well.
Yeah, ever since
so-
the chiropractor, I've never been able to stand up straight and not feel wobbly.
Yeah. and
Which,
so-
there's nothing I can really do about that. But,
Right.
that's on me.
So when you add that on top of, like, feeling incredibly weak, it's just like, oof, like, yeah, it's probably not the best for you to walk. Like, I mean, we have a long walk to our car because we park underground, but you have to walk down to the elevator, then through the underground, and it's a lot for somebody who's feeling so ill.
Or so I would have thought.
You would think.
Because, I decided, you know what, I think I need an ambulance.
Yep. Well, I called 911 and requested an ambulance, and they come out, and then they're like, well, can you walk? And we're thinking, like, just to the apartment door, because there's no room in our apartment to bring a stretcher in here.
There is if we would have moved some stuff,
Yeah,
but...
but like, it's not easy. So I believe one other time when you had to go in an ambulance, they brought it, like, to the apartment door.
Which is totally what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. But no, that's not what happened. They made you walk all the way out to the ambulance.
Yep.
Which is possibly even further than to our car.
It was further.
Yeah.
And I fell twice.
Yep, because after you were already standing up and wobbling and they were already trying to catch you from falling, they're like, oh, where's your shoes? Because of course you didn't have your shoes on yet, you know? Because, I mean, you thought you were going to be on a stretcher, like, and you're feeling ill. You're not just, like, thinking about putting on your shoes. They just expect you to, like, toss those things on while you're standing there wobbling, falling in front of them, puking. Like, what are you talking about? You're disgusting.
Yeah, I fell once to the ground. My slipper fell off. Also landed in a puddle, so,
Yep.
that was great. And that was my right foot, which has the hole in my big toe
Yep.
as well. So, it just kept getting better and better.
Yep, and they saw that your foot was bandaged, so this wasn't, like, a new thing.
No. And then they tried pushing me into the ambulance. Like, I didn't have the strength to be able to pick myself up into the ambulance to get up the stairs.
Which you shouldn't have had to.
So they just, like, shoved me up there, and I landed on my knees, almost hit my head on the gurney.
Disgusting.
And then I had to get myself onto the stretcher myself, which then they checked my blood sugar, which I was in high amounts of pain that was going on through there as well, too.
Yeah.
But my blood sugar did not chart.
Oh, yeah.
It was that high up.
Yep.
But they took me to the local medical facility, to use wrestling terms,
Yes.
and spent about 6 hours in the ER.
Right around.
Constantly ESPN having volleyball and softball and soccer going on the whole time. Yeah, that was really fun. But
Yeah.
basically what it came down to was I had diabetic ketoacidosis, which, if you're not familiar, means that my blood sugar was way too high.
Yes.
And it was causing my whole body to kind of shut down.
Right.
Everything from the kidneys to the back to throwing up to the fevers to chills, everything. So it's, I mean, before we continue on, just check your blood sugars if you're close to being diabetic.
Yeah.
Just try to get that stuff in check because it is no laughing matter.
Definitely.
But thankfully the ER was right below where I was going to be stationed in the hospital. I was wondering about that because they've been renovating the entire hospital area. Like, they have their own specialty buildings and stuff for pretty much like everything now. It's all like
Yeah.
separated into different buildings. So I was curious if that changed at all. But thankfully, no. I just had to go up the elevator a few floors to basically the ICU area, the intensive care unit, ICU. You.
He was in the intensive.
Yeah. And I spent the next 4 days there. I was on a insulin drip, which, if you know anything like that, it's kind of like a morphine drip as well, too, where basically they just continuously give me insulin until my blood sugars got back down to average levels.
Yeah.
And that took about 3 days for that to happen. What did you notice during that time?
So, first I'm going to rewind just one little further thing about the ambulance and all that situation. So, they were terrible, but I do want to clarify, separate from the hospital, everybody at the hospital was absolutely amazing, and we might talk more about that. But
well, remember, emergency services and the hospital are
Yep.
two different things.
Yes, but one thing I do want to point out for anybody out there struggling and like needing emergency care, like even though the ambulance was terrible, it does get you past the entire waiting room of people in the ER and get you in right away. So if you are really struggling, even though, believe me, I know the cost of ambulances is insane for people, this is one way to kind of cheat the system. Just putting that out there, because I don't think you could have stood just hanging out in the waiting room for hours on end.
I think I would have died.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been
with
good.
the way the blood sugar was and everything, I was
Yep.
falling apart. I think I would not be talking into this microphone.
Yeah, so I just want to throw that out there as a cheat if you need to use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you got into the ER, like, and they kind of started testing you. I mean, you did deal with diabetic ketoacidosis one other time, and that it was kind of mixed a bunch of other stuff going on at that time too. This was at the same time as your toe issues and stuff like that. I mean, it's scary because like they're very like with a lot of things, I'm sure across the board, but like with diabetic related stuff, like they're very it's weird because they're very like, some of them coming guns blazing, like, no, you need to take care of yourself. But then like some of them are so kind and understanding and stuff. And thankfully everybody, like, even though they started off with their different paths of like how they're coming at things, they all added optimism. And that was such a reassuring thing, especially when you see somebody that you love and care about sitting there struggling. It's like, okay, this is what you need to do, whatever way they're coming from, but these are the things you can do to make sure this doesn't happen again,
Well, one thing that truly helps with that is I don't have any kind of organ failure or anything like that.
Yep.
Like my kidneys are fine, my heart's fine, my lungs are fine, everything else is going on. It's just the blood sugar was way, way too high, and it was
Yes.
starting to affect things.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, of course it's terrifying seeing that, but then seeing, like, even within the ER, seeing that it did start dropping so much once they got you on the IV of it and stuff. It's like, okay, we can breathe. It's going to take a number of hours, days, whatever, to get to a better place, but it's moving in the right direction.
Maybe you were feeling that way. I certainly did not feel that way whatsoever.
I mean, you're in the midst of it, so like, of course, your little heart, I'm sure, was going all over the place, But I was just looking for those golden nuggets of like, okay, there's a check there. There's a check there. We're meeting these points. We're getting better,
Yeah, and it was scary. In all honesty, I heard 2 flatlines in the ER.
We heard a lot of things in the ER.
Yeah. There was also one that, depending on litigation, we're not going to go into because,
Yeah, we'll just say there was somebody brought in with police as well, and there was a lot of cursing and kind of craziness going on. I mean, I don't know what the injury was or what the situation was or what the crime was.
I will say the one line that really did stick out was the guy did say, "I am a survivor. I will keep on surviving."
Right beyond Knowles. I'm a survivor.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. But no, getting into the hospital stay, like, yeah, all the nurses, all the doctors, everyone was fantastic towards me. I had to talk way more than I wanted to. Despite how it sounds on the podcast, how I do reviews, how I do interviews, I'm a very, very introverted person.
Yeah.
Unless I'm taking charge, I only speak when I'm spoken to.
Right.
And that put a lot of fear into me as well, because I'm just not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But, I did learn a lot of valuable things that were going on and everything. And I was thankful to be in what is considered to be one of the top 10 hospitals in the U.S.
Yeah.
They have signs all over that say that. So that makes me quite happy that I was in a place that was going to make sure that I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we were talking about as we were leaving last night. It's like the bigger city that has a hospital, the more cold it feels.
Yeah.
And the smaller it is, the more warm it feels.
It's just more homey, and more comfy, more caring it feels.
And I need that in my life because I never had that growing up, and I constantly strive for that. That's why I have complete and utter dependence towards the Metal Faerie.
But yeah, that is one nice thing. And yeah, city hospitals are cold. Also, VA hospital. Oh,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, like those are so chilling feeling.
Yeah. Ugh. Sadly, you know that all too well.
Yeah.
But to continue on, pretty much the entire time I wasn't wasn't really allowed to walk the hospital or anything like. I'm not even sure if you can do that anymore. I know back when I was in there in 2019, you were allowed to like walk around and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that's a thing anymore.
Yeah, like, because I mean, you're plugged in, and like, yes, they can unplug it, but with it being a drip insulin, I'm not sure if the rules are different with that versus like just like fluids, you know?
Exactly.
So
what did I do? I basically just laid there and watched Comedy Central.
Yep.
And wow, Comedy Central has gone way downhill since I actively watched it when I was living in my hometown. I did not realize that Comedy Central basically has no shows anymore.
Yeah.
They just have The Daily Show, and then it's reruns of other things that are not Comedy Central properties, and South Park.
Yeah.
Because I think they had like 5 total shows. They had Futurama, they had Family Guy, they had Seinfeld, they had The Office, and is there another one I'm blanking out on? Daily Show. Yeah, I think I was pretty close to it. And it just reinvigorated how much I despise Seinfeld and The Office.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Thankfully, The Office was only on one night.
Yeah.
But, no, Seinfeld was on every day, and I just, why didn't you change the channel? Because I don't trust any other channel.
Yeah, well, their channels are limited anyways.
Yeah, like I was gonna put on Cartoon Network, and it's like, oh, right, the cable company around here made it a premium, so now it's just TV static when you put it on there.
Yeah, we did have CNN on election, the day after election day.
Well, I guess we might as well segue into that now, which was your birthday.
Yeah, well, let's finish up. Was there anything else on the, like, how are you feeling now and stuff like that? Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Comedy Central.
Oh, well, I mean, we're still on the hospital topic, though.
Oh, I didn't think we were done. I thought we were just going in chronological order.
Oh, well, I thought we were gonna do election at separate thing. I mean, that's
well, I mean, I was going chronological order.
We can do chronological.
Yeah.
We're on top of our game here, folks.
Yeah. So, Seinfeld sucks, always sucked.
Yeah.
The Office, I realized why I'd never watched it. It's awful. New Family Guy was watchable in comparison.
In comparison, yes, yeah.
And we stopped watching that.
We sure
and wouldn't
did.
you know it, the one episode that broke you, that is like, okay, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore, was actually on when we were in the hospital.
I know.
It's almost as if it was a sign.
It really was.
South Park, always good. Futurama, it kind of kept up right where we were when we stopped watching it. I mean, we need to get back into it, but I also think you've seen all the good ones as well. Like, let's face it, you basically just care about Nibbler, and you've seen almost all the Nibbler episodes at this point.
I mean, for the most part, yeah.
So, might as well just continue on to Tuesday now.
Yes.
Where not only was it your birthday,
It was
election day.
It was.
And yes, we voted early.
Yes.
If you checked out the last episode, we talked about how we voted early.
Thankfully. I mean, had we not, that would have stunk.
Would it have mattered?
No, it wouldn't have, but you know what I mean, like.
Well, I mean that in more than one way.
Yeah.
We live in Minnesota.
Yes.
And we voted correct.
Yes.
We were one of the few states that voted correct.
Yeah. Although, it's scary when you look at the map of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally because of the cities and, like, the upper
Hate to break it to you, kid, but that's the case in almost every state.
No, I know, but, like, still, it's just so disturbing seeing the entire state, aside from, like, a couple other counties, completely red.
Now, I'm gonna stress this. Before in the past, like, we really didn't talk politics all too much.
No.
Mainly because, not that we're afraid, we just don't want to have to put up with the fighting that comes into what our beliefs are.
Yeah.
We have our beliefs and we're both very, very open about it.
Yes.
I don't even think there's anything that we disagree on this point.
I don't think so.
But yeah, we both voted for Harris Waltz.
Absolutely.
And if there's only one good thing that's come out of all of this that's happened on Tuesday, we got to keep Waltz.
Yes.
He gets to stay governor.
Yes.
Which
I know the Trumpers are using this line, but I'm going to use this line for us. Our daddy is coming home.
Yeah. Well, our daddy never left, really.
Well, that's true. But he's been on his excursion, you know?
Yeah. Maybe in 2028 he can run?
No, I would love all for him to run.
But, yeah, just in case you've been living under a rock, Trump has been reelected as president, and he'll be getting into office January 6, 2025. And we had a very skewed reference to this as we were watching The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
Yeah, which was a disappointment, by the way.
Well, it was a disappointment. Well, your reasoning for it was they didn't go over enough of the states.
Well, like, we hadn't really kept up with it
results
until that point.
Yeah.
So, our downfall there, I guess, but...
Well, also, with that, they only announced the ones that Harris won.
Yeah.
And that made us think, like, oh...
There's a chance.
It's going in the right direction. She won New York. She won New Jersey. It's going in the right direction. And then we switch over to CNN and...
It's like, oh, crap.
Mhm.
Crap.
And then about 4 a.m., they announced that Trump won.
Yeah.
And it just shattered me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although, what did help with all of that was I was on oxycodone.
It was the right night for you to get that. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
I could not sleep. Anyone who knows me knows that ever since I was a little kid, I have had back problems.
Yeah.
The taller you are, the more likely you are to have back problems, and I really hurt my back as a little kid, and it's never really recovered. And laying in a hospital bed, no matter how comfortable they've gotten over the years, it's never comfortable enough.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're laying there days, like, oof, that's too much.
And I basically begged for something more than Tylenol because it was just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind, I hadn't slept
Yeah.
during all this because I forgot to mention when you're on an insulin drip, they check you every single hour.
Yep.
Every hour, almost on the hour.
Mm-hmm.
They wake you up every hour. So I did not get more than an hour's sleep unless I was completely and utterly passed out.
And for the most part, same with me too, because so many of them would turn on the lights when they came in.
Well, some of them are very nice and gentle.
Yeah. some
Other
of them-
ones like start clapping their hands. Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, well, some of them, like, there were a couple times where they were able to do it with you sleeping, and I was so impressed.
Not
by
often.
them. Not often, but I was so impressed, or at least they try to. But yeah, to your point, there's some that just come in middle of the night. They even like to do blood work, and they announce who they are, and they come in with the lights on. It's like, you could be a little bit more gentle. People are sleeping and sick. Shut up.
Yeah, you would think
What are
so.
you thinking?
Well, we're not here to make sure that you have a good night's sleep. We're here to make sure you get better.
Well, sleep is part of getting better.
Well, you would think so, but no. I bring up the OxyContin because our original plan before all of this started to happen was we were gonna get plastered and watch the election results.
We're gonna have some beverages, you know?
And well, I got to kind of partake. I went in the opposite direction.
Exactly. I did not. I did not. Oh.
But no, that was the best sleep I had, and I think I slept for like 4, 5, 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Although I should say I was off the insulin drip by then too, so having that plus the OxyContin, pure heaven.
Yeah.
Wouldn't recommend it, but it was pure heaven. Yeah, don't take it unless it's absolute last case scenario, you know, just do not do that.
Right.
But when you're in a situation like I was, like, I needed it, I needed sleep, I needed all of this.
Exactly.
But then when I came to, I saw that Trump was officially voted in.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on all this?
On the election stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, where do I start? Like, it's just, I mean, it's interesting being a woman right now in the United States and knowing that, I forget the total number of people who voted for Trump, but
Too many.
knowing that many people hate me simply because I'm a woman, and a lot of them are women. Like, and I one thing I keep seeing, like, kind of memes, quotes around, and it just rings so true. Don't tell your daughters, your little girls, that they can grow up and be whatever they want when this is how you're going to treat them. You won't vote them into office. You won't even let them have rights over their own bodies. That's disgusting. And it makes me even more on my bandwagon of, I'm 43 and I do not give an F anymore. Like, fine, you want to treat me like this? Well, let's game on. Like, I used to be, though, I haven't really gotten, like you said, we haven't really gotten that into politics on this show, but I used to be very, very involved more so in politics in my younger days, like my college days. I was very lit up on the case, and then I just kind of, I mean, I've always had passions, but I've kind of stepped out of it because, you know, life, but this really makes me want to get way more into it again, and it's kind of invigorating my desire to kind of get more into that side of me again, so we'll see where that goes. But it's just people who, well, okay, there's a couple things. Number one, people who voted for Trump, so many of them just don't seem to have any kind of actual knowledge around why they're voting for him, or like what the things they think they're voting for him for or voted for him like actually mean, or, you know, there's just a lot of, I won't call them stupid, but they're stupid. There's that side, and then there's also like the side of people like saying that, well, he's a businessman and it's all about the economics and stuff like that. Okay, fine. For any other, like, but pre-Trump election, like, you have the Democrat side, you have the Republican side, and there's shades of gray and stuff like that, and like there's areas where you can agree to disagree. The economy we should be held, or should be handled this way versus this way. Fine. But if that's the ground you're going to stand on, that means that you're willing to completely not have any kind of objection with this man being a rapist, a sexist, homophobic, racist. So, I mean, any ist out there you can add onto this list. Convicted convicted felon, all these different things. You're willing to overlook all of that, not have any issue with that in order to save 10 cents on bread. Like,
But that's also not how that works.
well, it's not, but in their minds is what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have any impact on the prices of food or anything like that. Like, all the
Except
stuff
for import and export, but
Yes.
that's not enough to actually cause inflation.
No. But even if you're stupid enough to believe the things that he's promising, how can you overlook these heinous things? He is the next Hitler, and you're willing to overlook that? Like, you are the type of people, and I've seen this all over on memes and stuff like that too. You are the type of people who would let, the officials know where Anne Frank was if you could get a cheaper price on gas.
Yeah.
And you're disgusting. You're vile. You have no morals. Don't put this on a Christian religious thing, because Jesus would be embarrassed of you. And go. Let's divide the North and the South. Let's just do it. Come on, because I can't with these people.
But it's not just the North and the South.
Oh, I know,
anymore.
but I want to move them all to a different area. Go live in Florida, all of you. Get the F out of here. And that's what I have right now. You can go next. I might come back more. Oh.
I also saw this online, and I think it's just the perfect way to describe it. I knew men hated women,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize how much men hated women.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, there's not really much more I can add to what you did, because
Yeah.
it would just be a lot of repeating.
Right.
I just have to say, as a straight white American cis male, I hate my kind.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people who are not what I am are affecting your life in a negative way. People are just people trying to live their lives. They're not doing trans surgeries in schools. They don't have kitty litter boxes in elementary schools because kids believe they're cats. They don't, in Springfield, Illinois, they're not eating the dogs and cats.
Oh, Christ, no.
They're not doing these things. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even believe the people who voted for Trump believe it either.
No.
They just want to upset the people they don't like.
I think some of them believe it. I think a lot of them are like, oh, that crazy uncle, our uncle, he just says these wild things. But you gotta,
Uncle Donnie.
Uncle Donnie, but you gotta overlook that stuff. 'Cause he's a good businessman.
Yeah, when you bankrupt casinos, you're a really good businessman.
He says the things that other people are thinking.
That doesn't make you a good person.
No.
Why are you thinking those things in the first place?
Oh.
Yeah, I've said a lot of my personal Facebook page and stuff. I've also mentioned it on the Heavy Debriefings Facebook page. I just copied and pasted what I did there too, if you want to hear a little bit more into it. But basically, my thoughts on the whole thing is I'm embarrassed.
100%.
And I am so sorry for everyone that's a part of my life that is affected by this.
Yes.
I'm so sorry for everyone that's not a part of my life that is affected by this, which I don't think enough people say.
Yeah.
Because, obviously, it's like, well, what if that's what if that's your daughter? What if that's your mother? What if that's your brother? What if that's your dad? It's like, well, what about the people who you aren't personally involved with?
Yeah.
Do they not have the same rights?
Do they not matter as much?
Yeah, like all of us matter.
Yes.
All of us together are the reason why we're here.
100%.
And it can also be the exact opposite, and it's the reason why we're all here. It could be the reason for our demise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that the world is going to end by the end of Trump's second term? No. But I think a lot of lives will be lost because of it.
100%.
And that breaks my frickin' heart.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not affected by this because I am, again, a straight white American cis male.
And
But that does not mean that I don't care about the people who are not me.
exactly.
And it just breaks me that we live in a society like this. We deserve all the crap that we get from the rest of the world. I know there's some people out there who know that we tried to fight this, but we do deserve all the crap that we're going to be getting. And all I can do is say brave faces, everyone, until election comes again in 2028, and hopefully we can vote to make sure this doesn't happen again.
And the election's over, the fight is over.
It's not over. We have to keep this up,
Exactly.
and we have to make sure that it never happens again after this. So, back in chronological order, yesterday, as you're tearing up, as
I know.
I'm feeling so terrible, I found out yesterday that I was going to get discharged, and I was so thankful for that. They talked about that early in the morning, like 8 a.m. They were talking about discharging me.
Yeah.
Then 10 hours later, I got discharged.
And we knew it was going to take a while. They wanted to kind of monitor your numbers throughout the day after you had a few meals.
And thankfully, it was in the low hundreds, basically,
Yes.
that whole time.
Yeah.
So everything is working the way that it's supposed to.
And they were just waiting to hear back from another doctor on some more result stuff.
Yeah.
But
And one of them was pediatrics because, again, I do have a hole in my foot from when I lost the top half of my big right toe.
thankfully, she said it's not looking bad or anything, and the x-ray was good.
But I do have to start wearing the boot again.
And a follow-up with a
And a follow-up.
podiatrist who is a lovely, lovely creature.
Yeah, so we'll be back doing that again. And obviously following up with the primary and the endocrinologist as well. But basically from like 3 to 6:30, just sat there waiting.
Yeah, because I want to say it was around 4. They're like, okay, you're good to go, but we got to get your prescriptions up here. We got to get your paperwork, blah, blah, blah. So we take that as, let's get your stuff packed up. Let's get you ready for the ball, Cinderella.
And then just proceeded to sit where you were sleeping.
Yes. Yeah.
Which felt comfortable for the first 20 minutes. And
right?
then,
Right?
and then I realized how much pain you had to have been in.
Yeah. Yep. It was a lot.
Although I did offer my bed if you wanted to switch spots.
Oh, I know.
But thankfully around 6:30 we finally hightailed out of there. I learned how to use my new glucometer, which is how you test your blood sugar.
It's a fancy one you got.
It's a fancy one. It's got a nice LED screen. You can actually chart everything on there now. Like before you had to write everything down on a little booklet and stuff like that. It actually does it on the glucometer now.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's got a light on it now, so you know where to put it in and how to put it in.
Yeah, and we still might write it down separately just too, because sometimes it's just easier having to have paper when you're going to the doctor to show it, because then you have to worry about bringing something else with and stuff like that. But...
Well, they always said to bring it with.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work, yeah.
And again, it like categorizes it, so it's got like morning, night, other times that goes along with that too.
That's
like
true.
It's really advanced.
Yeah.
They were also talking about like, I have such a fear of needles, which I've never talked about on here.
Yeah.
That's why I take the pill version of heroin, Oxycontin. That's why I don't take needles.
Yep.
Well, I'm obviously joking there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have such a fear of needles, which is why it's so hard for me to be diabetic.
Yes.
But they do have a workaround for that, which they've had for a while, which is using a glucose pump, which would have to be hanging off of my body. I think they actually have to do like partial surgery, put that into the body.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And have that connected to like my liver or something like that.
Something like that. And then usually...
Or pancreas, yeah.
Yeah, and then usually there's another piece to it that you wear around your arm that like tests you, and then they can communicate with each other.
Yeah, and I just don't think I can go through that.
I understand. Like, even though it's not dealing with needles all the time, and it lasts like often maintenance because you only have to change stuff with it like every few days, it's still having, stuff hanging off of you all the time, and
insurance might not cover
insurance might not cover it. It's an adjustment having things like hanging off of you and stuff, like
Yeah.
you're not able to operate the way you normally do and stuff. And yes,
well, let's face it, I'm already not operating the way that I used to.
Right. So it's things to think about, but there's challenges to that as well.
Yeah. So right now I'm going to be sticking with needles and stuff like that, despite how much it does scare the absolute crap out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, tested my sugars when we got back home, tested them this morning. They were all below 200, so A-okay.
Yeah, this morning it was 77 though.
Yeah, it was actually almost too low. So yeah, I woke up shivering, so I needed to eat as soon as I woke up. So it's good to know that things are working. And now we just need to make sure that this never ever happens again. So if you checked out the chapters ahead of time, you'll actually know that this is kind of a more abbreviated show this week.
Yeah.
We're not doing the news. We're not doing any of the other catching up on stuff. We have stuff to catch up on, and we still need to do that in our own personal lives too. Like, even though I was in the hospital for it, we basically missed Treehouse of Horror, so we'll be covering that. And all the other stuff that will happen next week, on the next episode. This is going up on Thursday if you're checking out things as soon as it goes up. And then on Sunday should be another regular show. Hopefully everything back to working order.
Yeah.
So just in case you didn't check out the chapters for some reason, if you want it to be a little bit of a secret for some reason, we're doing Accountability 101 with Typo Bloody Kisses next. Then we're doing the hot sexy singles from last week. Then we're doing Out Today and What I Missed for November 1st, and we're hightailing it out of here. So it's very possible we'll be done within the hour.
Yeah, very likely.
So before we continue on, are we doing another accountability this Sunday, or are we...
My thought is we get this one. We do have some other special stuff that we're doing, so...
Okay, so yeah, we're basically doing kind of two abbreviated shows.
A little bit, yeah.
And then the next week, which will be the 17th, I believe, when that'll go up, that'll be back to the real real regular programming.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna continue on from last week with our double shot of Typo Negative.
Yes.
The Metal Faerie's newfound obsession.
Yeah.
Despite the band being around ever since you got into goth music, you've never checked out Typo on your own accord for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that is just shocking to me, being
Well,
goth girl, that you never went out of your way to listen to them.
Well, back in my like high school days, I had a friend who was like obsessed with Typo, but like I didn't know what genre they were. Like I thought they were like more like industrial. Like I mean, because when you hear the name Typo Negative, it sounds like it could be then like 90s industrial sounding stuff.
But you love like Stabbing Westward, and they're industrial.
Yeah, but I didn't think of them as industrial back in the day. I don't know what I thought of them as, but
well, regardless,
my teenage views.
Last week we checked out October Rust.
We did.
And you did enjoy that album for the most part. I mean, there was a couple quirky tracks and stuff like that you would never put on a playlist or anything. But
yeah.
But you did want to do a double shot, and we checked out Bloody Kisses.
Yeah.
As well.
We did.
This was the one that I thought we were gonna do, but then you went with October Rust.
Yes.
So
it was awkward though.
It was October, but sure. But I thought that we were going with this one because it had the one song that you were familiar with.
Yeah.
So
well, to be fair, that one had Talking About.
Oh, well, I mean, it has two of their biggest songs on this one, so that makes sense.
Well, in October Rust, I meant it.
Yeah.
Was fair.
Well, I've shown them to you. Why are we bickering? We're so out of it.
We're so tired.
But anyways, 30 years ago, the album Bloody Kisses came out, and most people discovered Typo Negative from this album, potentially from October Rust, but most likely it was from Bloody Kisses. I'm assuming you checked out the normal version.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not checked out, but I am tired. Let's just get into this.
I understand.
Typo Negatives, Bloody Kisses on Accountability 101.
Alrighty, so up first is Machine Screw, which is just an intro of moaning, and it's very fitting for Typo.
Giggity, giggity goo.
Giggity, giggity goo. Second woman.
Second woman?
Second song.
Well, wouldn't you know, there's two women on the album cover, so.
Yes. Second song, Christian Woman. I have heard this one before. Very sexy. So 90s sounding. It's just crazy. And that voice.
Oh, yes.
Yes, very, very enjoyable. The third song, Black Number One, Little Miss Scarrow. Obviously,
do you get it?
I do get it. Obviously, I know this song, and all I can say is "Along with My People."
But you don't even wear mascara.
When I put on makeup, I do. I just work from home now, so I don't need to. But I used to always wear mascara.
You've never picked out Black Number One mascara.
What?
That's what it's about. That's the.
That was about hair dye.
Well, Little Miss Scarrow.
Yeah.
Mascara.
Well, yeah. When I wear mascara, it is black.
But
I mean,
no, that's never mind.
I dye my hair. Well, I did dye my hair black. Now it's kind of more reddish, but I'm probably going back to black. And I wear black mascara whenever I wear makeup. So I don't know where you're trying to like.
But it's not the official Black Number One.
Well, yeah, he doesn't say what brand it even is, so it's all different for different brands.
I was trying to do a joke.
Where was the joke? Is it in the room with us?
No, apparently you kicked it out.
Anyways.
We're not old bickety people. Why are we doing this? Stop it.
You started it. Any hoozles. Number 4. Faerie, come on and play. Just an interlude, but it's like his primal ceremony going on. Interesting.
All right. Are you going to censor this one?
No. Number 5, Hello the White People.
All right. Looks like we're demonetized on YouTube.
Oh, well, you know what? After this week, I stand by it.
We're not going to get monetized. Go ahead. Keep going.
But no, this one's chaotic. I feel like I wasn't sure how to feel about this one.
It's a leftover Carnivore track.
Okay.
Carnivore was a very thrash heavy metal band that Peter Steele was a part of.
Yeah.
That's why it's faster. That's why there's double bass.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, not sure how I felt that.
And then immediately goes into
Summer Breeze. Very fitting cover. Like, it's moody, it's sexy, it's a goth breeze, and I enjoy that.
It should have been Autumn Breeze or October Breeze or something.
Maybe. I like goth breeze. Up next, number 7, Set Me on Fire. It kind of 70s sounding. Like the recorder kind of threw me off.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
And then some parts are kind of bluesy rock. I kind of came out of this one thinking to myself, drugs are a hell of a drug.
Well, they did a lot of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Number 8, Dark Side of the Womb. Just an interlude again, crying.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Number 9, We Hate Everyone.
Very fitting. nowadays, huh?
Like, it's punky, but still mood has that type of moodiness to it. So this one was decent.
It's another carnivore track.
Okay, this one was better though than the other one, I felt like.
Okay.
Number 10, Bloody Kisses, A Death in the Family. Very dark, doomy, moody, emotional. Yeah. The 11th song, 3OIF, another interlude, just kind of random noises.
They love doing that.
They love their interludes. Number 12, Too Late.
Frozen.
Sorry, I had that there. I was just reading what I had written. It's been a little time since I listened to this now.
Why? What's happened?
I know, right? It's a weird mix of 70s and 90s feeling to me. Like the middle, and then the middle section is like super doomy. I'm okay with this one.
Okay.
Number 13, Blood and Fire. Very goth rock, like very catchy. I like this one. And then 14, Can't Lose You. Very sultry, gothy. Like there's a lot of mid-eastern kind of instrumentation going on.
Which is just a winning combination for you.
Exactly. Very kind of dream.
Could you imagine if Mirath went into a goth route?
Out. Get out.
Peaking, sweetie. Remember.
Sorry. I get excited sometimes. Anyways, overall, similar to the last one, like, I don't know that I'd necessarily sit down with these entire albums again, but they're definitely songs that I would listen to many, many times over and put on many playlists. So.
Well, that's also why I wanted you to hear the album World Coming Down, because it really doesn't have a lot of those interludes. It's like more of like a straight up album with songs.
Yeah.
And many consider it to be the best, like, typo album.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily the best songs,
yeah,
but it's the best album.
That makes sense. And we'll still go down that road.
So what did you enjoy more, October Rust or Bloody Kisses?
Oh gosh. I mean, as a whole, I don't know. As far as like particular songs, probably Bloody Kisses, but I do like October Rust too. I mean, there's singles I like from both though.
What was the better cover, Cinnamon Girl or Summer Breeze?
I like
Cinnamon Girl.
Exactly.
I just love doing that. So there we go. That was our double shot of Typo Negative on Accountability 101. What did you think? Did the Metal Faerie have the right assessment, the wrong assessment? Do you like Typo? Do you not like Typo? Did Peter Steele scare you off with what happened to him before his demise? I completely understand. Yeah, just love to know your thoughts about Typo Negative for Accountability 101 in the comments down below. And a reminder, for the next episode, we're not going to be checking out another album for Accountability, since we're basically going to be recording that in a couple days. And we have some other specialty stuff that we were going to be doing on this episode, but then, life happened. All right, everybody, time to get out your little black book. It is time to look at some hot, sexy singles. This, of course, is the segment of the show where we look at some bands' brand new singles and decide if they're for us or not. And I've basically forgotten all of them without even looking at them because of the past week. So once you mention them, I'll most likely remember what they were.
Yeah.
But thankfully, you're the one that pretty much curates this segment.
I do.
So I'll be able to remember it as you go along.
All right. Up first, we have Donna Solace with Murder.
Yeah. Thankfully, I talked to Tumas earlier this year about the new Wolfheart album, which is a fantastic album. He mentioned to me at the end of that interview that the new Dawn of Solace was coming out in December, and I was trying everything in my power to tell him not to do that, because bands need to stop putting out albums in December.
Yes.
That is a hill I will die on, because why would you buy anything after Black Friday? Like, for brand new stuff, why? Music no longer has that kind of power anymore where you need to buy it during the holidays, and everyone's putting out their best of lists in December. Unless you're one of those people that's like, well, I can't pick anything out until December 31st when at midnight. That's when everything's officially done. Unless you're one of those people, which I'm not.
Yeah.
Put out your stuff by November. Exactly. December's supposed to be a month of rest.
Yes.
Anyone who's a critic, a reviewer, a content creator knows you need a month off. Make it turn the holidays.
There you go.
But the new Dawn of Solace, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's that style of melodic doom. It has a little bit of growls this time, which I was kind of surprised by. They haven't done that since the very first album. Tumas is bringing in growls along with clean vocals, which has been a part of Dawn of Solace since the beginning. Early contender for best album of 2025 based on this song alone for me.
All right. Yeah, I thought it was nice. Very moody, depressing, harsh, but also good melody. Not bad. Up next, we have Labyrinthus Stellarum with Ravenous Mana.
Yes, this is a very atmospheric black metal band who incorporates a lot of like synthwave, keyboard, industrial kind of stuff mixed in with atmospheric black metal. This is one kid who I believe is turning 17 next year.
Insane.
And the complex stuff that he's written on his debut album, which came out this year, which is easily in my top 100. This is miles better just from the production value alone. Like, I love the debut, but the production value really needed to get better. Like, parts of it sound good, but when the mixing and the mastering came together, it was a little rough. Seems like he figured it out on this one, and it just sounds amazing together. And I think this kid has a long road ahead of him of putting out some amazing black metal stuff.
Yeah, this is pretty catchy. Like, it's atmospheric, but it has kind of that dark bass way about it, which I like atmospheric stuff that's a little bit darker. Very dynamic. Like, there's some electronic elements kind of mixed in. There's clean vocals mixed in, which is always appreciated by me. And I was so shocked to hear a 7-year-old kid.
Well,
Like,
16.
Or 16-year-old kid.
Yeah,
Like,
I think next year he's turning 17.
like, that's just crazy to me. So, yeah, he has a road ahead of him. Up next, we have the Halo Effect with Mark of the Unheard.
Cut out the first half. What I'm really hoping is that they combined an intro track and the song together on the album to make it the video. I don't know that. I don't have the album. No one does yet that curates and reviews albums, so I'm just using guesses here. But no one's gonna listen to that full track if the first half is just that long-winded intro. That said, the rest of the song's fantastic, and they're continuing on everything that I love about what the Halo Effect does. Just, I really hope that they cut the track in half on the album.
Yeah, another catchy number. I love what they're doing still. And I will say, though, in the video, there's a marching band. And I get that.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Let me finish, toots. I get the title of the song is March of the Unheard. But, like, just having this little marching band in there, it just, follow me to
They weren't wearing black, though.
See a marching band.
They weren't wearing black.
I don't care. That's what it brought me to. Anywhoozle.
Well, it was the wrong parade, not the black parade.
What a...
You know I would if I could, but I woke up shaking.
I know.
We would still be sleeping if it wasn't for that.
I know. It will be a nap day at some point, I bet.
Well, we might be going to see Heretic later, so we'll see.
Either today or tomorrow. We'll see. Up next, the Nightlight Orchestra with Shooting Velvet.
Yeah, after a few albums of really doing the 80s AOR, it seems like they're going back into the 70s AOR on this one, and I am all for it. I still can't believe the guy who wrote Steel Bath Suicide is making AOR music, even though it's how many albums into the Night Flight Orchestra's career. It's just so fantastic to me to see Speed embracing both the melodic death metal side and Soilwork and the AOR side on the Night Flight Orchestra. I wish they would tour America, but I know they're just doing the one show at Proc Power next, so womp womp. But I really enjoy it.
Yeah, very catchy. I feel like they laid out the finest cheese platter they could in front of us. And if you watch the video, I want to believe what the lounges are like on some of those like huge Airbuses.
The Pan Am flights.
The Pan Am flights, yes. But yeah, it's good. Up next we have Unrequited with the Star Forger.
Yes, one-man black metal project who is very much on our view of the political spectrum. Their last album, I believe it was, All Is One, is basically he lives in the Middle East in a, trying to be not going too thick into the details, but it's a country where if you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, you're gonna get murdered. Releasing an album trying to embrace everybody with the last album, which I could not appreciate more. I really enjoyed this one. It's a bit doomier than I thought it was gonna be. Usually it's like more of like the post-black atmospheric black metal stuff, but this one had a little more piano stuff in it. It was a little doomier, more clean vocals. I see they're expanding, and I really like seeing that.
Yeah, very atmospheric. Like the lyrics are super emotional. Harsh vocals, but then there's some nice clean ones mixed into. I feel like the drums kick in when they should and they need to, and it just rip you. Why are you laughing at me?
I just love the way that you put the drums kicked in when they're supposed to.
Well, I don't mean when they're I mean, there's no supposed to with music, but like they at the right time for the fills.
Tappa, tappa, tappa.
I'm sure that makes sense if you're a drummer, but I have no idea.
Tappa, 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 tappa. I'm sorry, I'm probably still high. Continue on.
We have Horizon Ignited with Welcome to This House of Hate.
I am so disappointed in this track. What I loved about Horizon Ignited was they were this great combination of melodic death metal and like kind of like melodic metal, heavy metal kind of stuff, like mainstream kind of stuff. This song is pure, unadulterated Slipknot. The only thing that was missing was the turntable scratches. Like they even dressed up like them. It's just no. The singer of the band has a band called I Am the Night where he does like dissection and emperor worship. What are you doing writing a Slipknot song? No, stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, no, like I've really enjoyed previous Horizon Ignited. I love that their make of like the heavy and like the super melodic and the clean vocals mixed in just the right part and stuff. Whereas this one is just all harsh and not in like a good way. And it just felt very rote and
I really hope that's not an indication of where they're going to be going in the future.
I hope. Up next we have Neon Nightmare with a Look Like Shadows.
Yes, pure, unadulterated, 100% typo worship. I loved everything about it. We're going to be talking about the album on the next episode. Much like what Gruesome is to death, Neon Nightmare is to typo. Just like 100% made to be a typo worship band. The singer guitarist of the band Spirit Adrift made this band, and it's everything that I want, and it's so appropriate considering how much we've covered typo lately. That he would come out with a typo worship album. It feels like the best typo album that never came out.
It's super catch-offy, dirty. It's sleaze metal typo, you know. And the girl vampires in the video, like that's what I thought I was / wanted to be when I was in high school, but I was actually just a teenager.
He's sorry.
And finally, Be Still My Heart, For My Pain, which bit delete.
Well, you might as well go with this one first.
So if you're not familiar with For My Pain, they were a band that put out one album back in the early 2000s that was one of the best albums ever created.
And who used to be in that band?
Thomas from Nightwish used to be in the band at that.
Who would have thought that, considering what he turned into?
It was, excuse me, I'm losing my voice a bit. It's a little bit of a super group of kind of people back then as well, of people from different bands in the Finnish metal scene. But they reunited this past year, and they put out one single earlier this year that is amazing as well, so go check that out. And without Thomas now. Thomas is no longer with them.
Well, he hasn't been with them since the album came out, but...
Well, that's why I said they disbanded after that album. They reunited this year. But they put out another single, Which Bit Delete, and I absolutely love it. They put it out on Halloween, so it was cheeky on purpose, I would say. I love it. A gothy Finnish rock metal, very, very sexual, but dark and kind of gritty at the same time. And I love them. I am such an uber fan. Like, I can't wait for them to put out an album, and it's everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Very poppy goth rock kind of. It's the 2000s Finnish goth sound. Like, it goes into two camps. You either sound like him or you sound like Sentenced. They're kind of in between.
So there's more than two dropping.
Well, if you're in between, you're kind of going from both camps, are you not? Yeah. So, it's like there's the one that embraces love, and then there's the one that embraces sleaze when it comes into the Finnish goth kind of stuff.
Well,
for that style, yes.
For this song, yes. But I mean, they're also very depressing bad boy too.
Yeah, I know. So again, either you're him or you're Sentenced. And there's so many of those 2000s Finnish goth rock bands that fit into one of those two camps.
Sure.
And they all pretty much like put out one album when all the bands were trying to chase the trends of either sounding like Sentenced or trying to sound like him. If you understand what I'm trying to say here is all of the bands that the Metal Faerie loves so much from the early 2000s of that Finnish goth rock sound either sounded like him or they sounded like Sentenced.
Not necessarily.
Right, but they did?
No. Then all your doom garbage sounds alike. All your progressive music sounds alike. All of your atmospheric BS sounds alike. Because if you're saying it sounds alike, then you don't understand. You're not a fan yourself. Otherwise, you'd be able to tell the differences.
You're mad mad at your childhood, not at me. I forgive you.
My childhood? I didn't listen to this stuff in my childhood, so no.
2000, you were 18, you were still...
I was not listening to this at that time.
I forgive you.
I'm not apologizing. If anything, you need to apologize to me. Get on your knees. Get on your knees and beg for my forgiveness.
You know, if I went on my knees right now, I'd not be able to get back up.
Exactly.
Well, anyways, you can see how the show is derailing right now with hot, sexy singles. Let's just get right into the next segment to finish things out here, shall we? Alright, and finally we are here with Out Today and What I Missed for November 1st, 2024. The latest we've ever done this, and if you absolutely skipped everything before this, you'll know that I was in the hospital, and we weren't able to catch up the way that we were before. And the show's been kind of derailing since then, since I'm in so much pain, I need pain medication. So, let's just go on. Here we got 20 albums to cover here. We got 9 new albums that came out back on Friday, and the rest is stuff that was already out. Starting with the self-titled debut from the band Arctis, a Finnish band that really covers modern metal, modern metal, melodic metal. It's super poppy, super catchy. The song Bimbo is like one of the catchiest metal songs I've ever heard in 2024. Yeah, this is just a really, really good album. And I saw this morning they shared my review.
Oh, cool.
And I also saw that Napalm Records liked it and stuff like that too. So that I thought that was really cool.
That is awesome. Yeah, this is super catchy. It's like synthy, but it's also kind of poppy and feisty in a way. Yeah, good.
Next up is the band Bombus with Your Blood. This is like a combination of like 70s and 80s heavy metal, kind of like a Motorhead kind of feel, little thrashy, a little heavy kind of stuff. Yeah, it really has that kind of dirty, gritty production style to it as well. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought this was really catchy too. I was kind of lost on how to describe it. Like it has catchy musical lines and harmonies and the vocal lines, but then it's kind of a little bit of a mix of like heavy metal, classic metal. Yeah, it's good though. It's good. Hard to describe, but good.
Next up, probably in your top 20, if not higher for the year, the brand new album from Brothers of Metal with Fimbulvinter. I always knew of Brothers of Metal, but I guess I never really went out of my way to listen to them until this album, and I kind of kicked myself for doing so because this is really fantastic stuff. It's very, very tongue-in-cheek. It's very fun, folkish, heavy, power metal kind of stuff, like everything that you would expect from Pagan Fest. Brothers of Metal pretty much covers.
Yeah, yes, I love Brothers of Metal. They have such a powerful dynamic sound to them, I feel like, and they're fun, but they're still like, they not take it seriously in a bad way, but they take it seriously in a performative, fun way.
Yeah, it's like All for Metal, where it's super cheesy, super fun, but they're very serious and want to make sure that it's done with proficiency.
Yeah, like they don't think it's real, but it's a show that they're putting on.
Exactly. Next up is the debut album from the band Carved Memories with Morai. This is a Colombian band that moved to Berlin. Very, very dark, evil black metal, which I learned your boyfriend Clemens Weigers does the orchestration on this album.
Well, that makes sense.
That's probably why you enjoy it so much. But yeah, very symphonic black metal.
Yeah, I really like this. Very powerful sounding, kind of Cradle of Filth-esque. Really like it.
Next up is a Canadian duo known as Coma Hole with Hand of Severance. This is kind of like a throwback to like late 60s through late 70s hard rock. It got some stoner elements to it as well too. I find it really, really catchy in a way that I could see some people being annoyed by, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it had some catchy elements and there's some nice melodies. There's something about the vocals that is very like, I don't give an F, and I'm not sure about that, but...
Well, that's kind of the point with like the style sometimes, you know, it's like...
Right. No,
when you have a little bit of a punky kind of feel behind it, I mean, you kind of have to have that no care attitude.
And I get that, but I don't know if I like it.
Fair enough. Next up is the debut album from Dead Icarus with Zealot. This features the former screamer of Atreyu, where Atreyu is now doing bro country reimaginings of their old songs. Dead Icarus is doing a combination of metalcore, symphonic black metal, and deathcore combination that is wildly catchy, as left of center as it is.
Yeah, this is very catchy, kind of electronic elements, a little bit of metalcore, melodiccore, metalcore. I can talk too. Yeah, this ain't bad. It's pretty good.
Next up is Ephilates, I believe is how you pronounce it, with To the Victims of Sirens. I thoroughly enjoy this one. It's dark, it's sophisticated. It just has a lot of what I'm looking for with this type of metal.
Yeah, I thought this was catchy. It's very hard, but then it has these nice guitar melodies over it too, which it just brings it all together. It's like a little nice bow.
Next up is the sophomore album from League of Distortion, featuring the guitarist of Kiss and Dynamite. Well, one of the guitarists of Kiss and Dynamite with Galvanize. They already started off very poppy, very catchy. This one takes it to like the absolute max. This is like pure modern metal. Like there's no power metal left in their sound. It's like pure modern metal.
Yeah. Very catchy, kind of electronic. Picture of them on Spotify. It looks like they should be working at a bondage club though.
Kinda, right?
Kind of.
Which, maybe depending on the songs, Kiss and
Maybe.
Dynamite could do that as well.
That's true. Yeah, good stuff.
My apologies. My allergies are starting to run right now, so I apologize for all the paper towel sounds that you might have just heard. And finally, for brand new stuff that came out back on Friday was new Skeletal Faces with Until the Night. This is the post-punk, goth rock, death rock sound, and it really does embrace the death rock because it kind of has like these death metal kind of vocals over goth rock, and kind of like how Tribulation used to be in a sense. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was very catchy, gothy 80s. The vocals have kind of a strange sound to them, which I normally don't like, but it's fitting for this though. It worked.
And now everything that was already released in the What I Missed section, starting with the debut album from I Was with Darkth It Is, a German duo that really focuses on the melodic doom side. The singer of the band Wheel, there's actually two major metal bands called Wheel. One is a Finnish prog band, the other is a German doom band. This is of the latter. Really focuses on the melodic doom side, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, very sad, but it's pretty at the same time. Yeah, very emotional. Let's go crying. Let's get in the car and go crying.
Yeah, that's why I love it so much. One of Metal Faerie's favorite bands, Better Lovers, with their debut album Highly Irresponsible, featuring past and present members of the Dillinger Escape Plan, Every Time I Die, and Fit for an Autopsy. This is basically a combination of all those bands. Like, it has the mathcore sound on there, it has a little bit of southern rock to it, a little bit of pop punk. It's just a giant conglomeration of sound if you're not initiated to it.
No, it's a little bit of everything I hate.
But you like pop punk.
Fine, I like pop punk, but now it's in combination with all this other crap.
Just to continue down the wall of stuff that you don't like, the brand new album from Devin Townsend with Power Nerd.
Yes.
This is the most optimistic album Devin has ever put out. I really thought from the title track this was going to be a faster, speedier, more metal album. Mm-hmm. That is not the case. It is a lot more introspective. It's a lot more eternally thought-provoking, like looking at the world around you, being very appreciative of what you got, and you really hit that hoity-toity crap, don't you?
It's too positive and people friendly.
Who would have thought the guy who wrote City would write something so people friendly?
This isn't how I like my Devin.
Yeah, see, on one side you got City, and then you got Power Nerd.
Yeah.
On the other, it's
I take City.
It's the yin and yang of it all. Mm-hmm. Next up is Fit for an Autopsy with The Nothing That Is. This is a band that started very much off of the brutal deathcore sound, and then started incorporating more metalcore, more progressive death metal, a little more modern metal kind of stuff on there. I'm not entirely won over by this yet, but I think they are going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's kind of catchy. Like it's harsh, but then it has some nice clean parts as well. I do feel like some parts are a bit broke though, so yeah, I'm on the fence, but I'm not, leaning either way.
That is indeed how you sit on a fence. Next up is the brand new album from Ghost Heart Nebula with Black Shift, listing themselves as cosmic doom metal, which I think is very, very appropriate. It feels like a combination of melodic doom metal, melodic death metal, and cosmic sounds going on. Like, imagine like Antimatter doing more doom and melodeath, and it's just a winning combination and has become one of my favorite albums of the year.
Yeah, this one took me a little bit to kind of figure out how I feel, and I'm probably still deciding how I feel, but it's very emotional. It has atmospheric vibe to it, but it's in a kind of a dark space way again. But I think I like it.
You think you like it?
I think I like it.
Okay. Well, one that you were a little more decisive on is the brand new album from Gorebringer with Condemned to Suffer, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised by this one. Like, Like, when I went into this one, like, the name kind of makes you think it's, like, gonna be, like, this really brutal death metal sound, and that is not the case. It is, like, it's death metal, but it's, like, it's super polished, it's super melodic, it's got, like, one of the best production sounds of this style that I've heard all year. Like, I was very heavily surprised by this one.
Yeah, there actually were some catchy elements here, which I wasn't expecting, but I do kind of feel like overall it's a little bit too much for me, but there are some catchy things there.
Anything that reminds you of the Black Dahlia murder is too much for you, I've learned.
That's fair sound.
Yeah. Next up is Immorier with Vonarch wir Struben. I apologize for that. I am terrible at my German. But as you might have guessed, this is some very dark, depressing German doom.
Yeah, this is one that we were supposed to come back to for me to check out, and we didn't do that.
Oh.
So I don't have an opinion on this one yet.
All right, well, there you go. And we're not going back. I'm in too much pain.
I understand.
Yeah, some stuff happened if you listen to the show.
You might hear about it, have heard about it.
Next up is the debut album from Melancholy with Immaterial Eden. This is pure progressive death metal. Like, this is like middle era Edge of Sanity mixed in with a bunch of other progressive death metal bands that I'm highly impressed with this, mainly because it's a one-man band from the UK that pulled all of this together. Just absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was really catchy. It has some really nice guitar parts, nice melodies, some nice clean vocals, and synthy, and yeah.
Next up is the latest album from Psychonaut 4 with Of Morning, a very polarizing, depressive black metal band, mainly because of the vocal delivery. Like, there's a lot of shrieking that goes on.
Yeah.
Not because she's a female singer, that's not what I'm getting at. I mean, like, she actually does shrieking in the vocals, but sometimes it is some of the most effective use of it I've heard, and I think this album is a fantastic example of that. It's the best production they've ever had, which I think is a huge plus for them. 2024 seems to be a huge year, whether it's a band like Psychonaut 4, whether it's a band like Haunt, where they realize that, yeah, maybe you should actually step up the production value.
Right?
And I think this was a good example of that.
Yeah, I think there's some good stuff in there. Very moody and emotional, and yeah, very good.
Next up is the band Silhouette with Les Dires de la Mer. Of course, this is some very dark French metal going on here that it's kind of hard to really get into details with this one. I think it's just the kind of album that you just need to put on and see if it's going to be for you.
Yeah, I will say the female vocals are really pretty, and there's the parts where it gets kind of faster, build up a little bit. I like the rest of it. I'm a little on the fence about though.
Yeah, I noticed that. And then finally, we bring things all the way back to Minneapolis with the one-man project known as Weep, with the Constant Strain of Life. This is another album that is very much in that dark, depressing sense of black metal, which is just appropriate for this time of year. It seems like all the bands decide to put this out in September, October, November. It just makes sense. The production value is a bit rough on this one, but if that's not an issue for you, the songs are more than worth checking everything out.
When it kicked in a little bit heavier, faster, like, then I find it catchy, but there's something about the production that just kind of makes me feel icky. I don't know.
So it did its job.
It is job, but I don't know that I like that because I don't like to feel icky.
Well, I'll tell you what right now. I feel very icky, and I imagine that you feel very icky right now.
You know, yeah.
So I think that's a sign for us to call a day on this more abbreviated episode of the Heavy Debriefings podcast, episode 69, quite possibly our sexiest episode yet. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We'll be back in a few days with episode 70, hopefully a little bit more recovered, a little bit more of a real show going on in a few days. We'll be getting back to the news and what we've been doing in the past week and all that stuff outside of being in the hospital. So thank you for bearing with me over the last couple episodes where I've been sick. Hopefully I'll be on the mend going forward, and I thank you so much for putting up with all of it. And until the next episode in a few days for the Metal Faerie, this is a very thankful Josh Runquist saying, please protect each other for the next few years until America can hopefully get its stuff back together in 2028.
This has been the Heavy Debriefings podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Make sure to follow Heavy Debriefings on all your favorite social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And of course, heavydebriefings.weebly.com for all of your Heavy Debriefings needs.
Also check out the Metal Faerie at facebook.com at the Metal Faerie.
Until next time.